like to welcome each and every individual to Voices of Integrity podcast for business owners. And today we have a couple really cool people on that are guests that are talking about their CPAs, own an accounting firm out on the East Coast. And we're talking about work ethic. And so one of the biggest challenges that businesses have always had is employees. And how do you attract the right employee? How do you onboard them properly? How do you coach them, train them, coach them, develop and mentor them into the best employee they can be for their own benefit first and foremost, but then for the customer, which obviously is the first, and then for the firm overall. And so the topic of work ethic is, I think, something that's really important. I think that one of the challenges that I have found in coaching businesses all over the world and business owners is there's a tendency to be fearful about talking about work ethic with employees. It seems like a lot of employees think they have a high work ethic, a hard work ethic. I'm not saying they don't. I'm just saying that when we compare ourselves to other people around us, that might not be the best comparison. Just saying. So if we offend anyone, I apologize for doing that. It seems like in today's culture, it's easy to offend people. And that's unfortunate. My grandfather, he said to me when I was 8 years old, Mark, when somebody says something to you, there's some amount of truth to it. It could be 1% or 99%. It's really up to you to decide what percentage it is and then decide what you're going to do about it. I understood that at the age of 8, and I said, wow, that's really profound. I'm going to have to remember that. I wish that was taught in our educational system, in our college systems, that when somebody's saying something to you, you don't have to take offense. It's not abuse. It's not mental trauma. Like, take whatever you want from it. Fred and Patty, why don't we start with Patty? Patty, you have some interesting stories about work ethic and your parents and how they taught you. And then when you first came into the industry and some of the experiences with Fred, those are some special stories, but I'll let you decide. Like, what are your thoughts? Why is it so important, Patty, for employees, for team members to have a high work ethic, and what does that mean to you?
I think it's very important for everybody to grow as an individual, and you should take care in what you do and take ownership for your work product. And I feel like starting a career as a young person that doesn't really have the experience, you go into it and you need to learn by example, and you just need to look at the people in leadership and how they come to work and how they're prepared. And you should come to work prepared to put your best foot forward. It doesn't mean coming in the door at the last minute. It means being there ahead of time so that you're ready to work when the time comes. You have to try to put out your personal life as much as you can so that you can concentrate on what you're doing. And I think as a young person, it's hard to learn. Sometimes it comes from how you were brought up and your parents and what they instilled in you. And I was fortunate that my parents made me be independent and take charge and ownership of my life. And you have to do this. And I worry that that isn't being done right now. I mean, people come to work, they're playing on their phones, or, they're just trying to get to the end of the workday. And that's upsetting.
And Patty, like, if you don't have, do you have any ideas? Well, let me have Fred, and then I'll bring it back to both of you. Fred, work ethic, what does it mean to you? Why is it so important? And how do you instill it into team members?
Good question. I think most people, when they come to work, feel that they want to progress up the corporate ladder. They understand they're going to start at a lower position, but they want to move up. Unfortunately, I think they think they're just going to move up because they're coming in and punching the clock from 9 to 5, and that's all that's required. But to advance, you need to put additional effort in. You need to learn. You need to ask questions. You need to learn from your questions. You need to be personable. There's so many qualities and traits that are required. It's just not coming to the office and, just being here when you're supposed to be here. If you want to grow with a firm, you need to put the time in, and then you can reap the rewards. It just currently feels like there's entitlement, which neither Patty nor I had when we started in the profession. And I think it's important for staff to put the time in and the dedication and be responsible, and then they will be able to move up the corporate ladder.
And now I'm triggered on all kinds of things. And my triggering is very different, it seems like, than the triggering now. So it seems like that there's a virus that's going around, a mental virus that's going around that seems to be that I'm entitled to certain things. I'm a lot smarter than other people. So there's entitlement, self-righteousness, and victim, and they seem to all connect together. It's called the quantum feeling model. And so my feelings seem to dictate, like, I think I should have this. And if you dig into somebody who says, I should be at this, I should be earning this, I should be at this level, I should be this and this and this, and you dig in, well, why should you do that? And it's not because of hard work. It seems like it's not because, it's just because, I don't know, I got a college degree or I've done this or this. So what's the, vaccine, or what's the antidote for entitlement? It's being thankful and grateful. And I think a lot of times people, they're not that. In the self-righteous, it's amazing to me and how, as a society, it seems like we've collapsed around, like there's not humility, and humility is the inoculation for self-righteousness. Like it would seem like that the older, like I'm turning 60 on next Tuesday, and it seems to me that the older I get, the more I know I don't know. I think that's healthy. I think rather than, well, I know more than everybody else. And then the victimhood, to prevent that from happening, it's taking personal ownership. And we could have many podcasts about these three things, either entitlement, self-righteousness, or victimhood, because it seems like they all interconnect. And when that happens, there's a defensiveness, there's a resistance to learning, to growing, to, so one recommendation for any team member, any employee that I would give is ask your employer, just make sure they're sitting down, ask the owner of your company, ask this simple question, but make sure they're sitting down because they might have a heart attack. They might die. So ask them 1 to 10, how would you rate me as a team member and what I'm doing? And be honest, if it's a 2, it's okay. Tell me it's a 2. It's almost like if you don't know how to treat the owner of your company well, you do not know how to treat the customers well. And if you don't know how to treat the customers well, then none of us are going to have a job. We're not going to be employed. So Fred and Patty, I guess my question to both of you today is, if you don't have the training that the 3 of us, the 4 of us with Elise, and maybe we ought to have Elise be sharing a lot more. Maybe I think we'll get her talking on the next. She's younger than the 3 of us are. But if you don't have the training, well, Elise too, you jump in. Like if you don't have the training of the parents that have taught you, there's no free lunches. You're going to have to work hard. And you know what? You might think you're right, but maybe not nearly as much. And you know what? Stop being a victim. It doesn't serve you well, and you're not going to go ahead and get what you want in life. Like if you haven't had that training from childhood, how do you get it as an adult? And what's one other thing that's really weird to me is people don't think they're entitled, and people don't think they're self-righteous, and they don't think they're victims. They're acting like those three things, and they're not even aware that they are that way. So if you don't have that training as a child, how do you get it as an adult?
Well, I think that's a really good question. In my case, I think I had training as a child and young adult, but what made me into part of who I am today is that I got fired from my very first job on April 15th. And I didn't know why. Apparently the employers knew why, but I used that to help me grow and learn and study and become a better accountant. And so maybe people need to get fired to realize this is the real world. We just can't hang on to people and just, pay them for showing up. So I got my first dose of that with my very first job right out of college. And ever since then, I had to learn a lot and understand what it takes to be successful in this profession.
This is interesting. So for all the team members, for all the employees out there, you might think that you're a really good employee. But when the job market shifts, and it will, I'm just telling you, it will shift. And when it shifts, you're going to find something totally different. Like right now, you can ask for raises. You can not work as hard. You don't have to show up in the morning early and stay late. But eventually it's going to shift. And when that shifts, there's going to be a lot of people who are going to experience what Fred experienced early on. And he looks back and say, that was a wake-up call for me. And so, nice. Patty, thoughts you have?
I mean, I think that as a young person, if you know what you want to become and what your goal is for your profession, identify somebody who has met that goal and use them as a mentor. And if you try to gain as much knowledge as you can from them, ask the questions that you have, try to resemble their work ethic, see what they're doing. And I just feel like you need to use the tools available to you, and you need to apply yourself 100%. And it might not be done during the workday. You might have to be studying after hours, asking other people, just doing what you can. People say dress for the job you want, not the job you have. Look up at the stars at what you want to be, and then try to find that person that you feel has done that, and interview them and find out how they got there and try to duplicate it.
I love
and
that.
when you do something wrong, don't be embarrassed. Try to find out, why did I do it wrong? How can I not do it wrong again? And use that as a tool. Like Fred said, ask the questions, use your mistakes as a tool, and things happen for a reason. And, if you do get fired from your first job, use it as a stepping stone and learn from that mistake and not be that same person.
Nice. Elise, thoughts, suggestions you have for individuals?
What keeps coming to my head is I think there's been a shift where several generations don't grow up knowing how to be uncomfortable. And to meet goals, you have to be uncomfortable. To reach higher than where you are, you have to be okay with being uncomfortable, because it's out of your comfort zone often. So I think that's really difficult in a professional setting. If somebody doesn't have that experience, they weren't raised that way to push themselves or work hard, how you bring that into the professional setting and build that into your onboarding, or, in this case, how do we take an employee who performs fairly well, has aspirations to perform more and reach higher? How do we build that into some training? So that not only are they growing in their knowledge, but also in their ownership and ability to take on more. So
nice. So if you're listening to the rebroadcast of this, I would encourage you to join the Life GPS web mobile app, because then you'll be introduced to a mentor that will help you in the Voices of Integrity. And Voices of Integrity, you might not feel comfortable with the things that are shared. This is what integrity is about. It's telling you the truth, and the truth often hurts, and the more it hurts, maybe the more truth there is. So if you have any questions, connect with the individual who invited you to participate in today's session, or you can call toll free 888-230-2300, outside the US 630-393-9909. And thanks Fred and Patty and Elise for your participation today. A lot of good wisdom. Have an amazing day. Bye-bye.